Meeting to order and ask you to rise. The invocation, Dr. Doug Page, the pastor of the First Baptist Church. Colors and the pledge, Pack 168.
Heavenly Father, on this election evening, we are grateful for the privilege to make our voice heard in America. And I pray that you will show your mercy on this country this evening. Thank you for this council. Thank you for our mayor, who have served so well, and we pray your blessing on them. Give them wisdom and diligence as they seek to serve this city for your glory. We pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Color guard, attention. Audience, attention. Color guard, forward march. Color guard, cross the colors. Color guard, halt. Color guard, prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Color guard reform. Color guard return to post. Color guard halt. Audience at ease, color guard at ease.
Thank you, Dr. Page. Thank you, Pack 168. Very nice. Welcome to our meeting tonight. We have a rather short agenda. It's the first meeting of the month. We have no Planning and Zoning Commission public hearings. We begin with the citizen comments. Do we have any requests tonight?
No, sir.
All right. Citizen comments is a section on our agenda each night where a person can address the council for 3 minutes on anything on the agenda or not on the agenda. Do we have anyone that wish to speak and haven't registered?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. We have no citizen comments. Then we'll begin with a presentation of a proclamation declaring November the 3rd through the 9th of this year is National Animal Shelter Week or week. Approximately 70% of the U.S. households own at least one pet, according to the Humane Society. Animal shelters are vital resources for their communities and a safe haven for animals. Animals running loose and unsupervised cause a threat to public health and safety. Pet owners who have not had their companion animals spayed or neutered contribute to pet overpopulation. Animal service officers put themselves in potential dangerous situations to protect the health and welfare of wild and domestic animals and the public. Public education of animal care best practices, the rules regarding pet registration, opportunities for vaccination clinics, microchipping, and public events promote the welfare of animals and humans alike. Animal shelter employees help both animals and people in many ways by returning lost pets to their owners, enforcing animal control laws, rescuing injured animals, educating the public, and matching up families with new animal companions. The City of Grapevine would like to express its sincere thanks and appreciation for the outstanding service the Grapevine Animal Service employees and volunteers provide on a daily basis. So as your mayor, I'm proud to announce November 3rd through the 9th, National Animal Shelter Week, Appreciation Week in our community. Ask you to be aware of that and the compassionate services to animals and people that is conducted each day in our community. See, who do we have? We've got Christine Valentine from our animal shelter.
Oh, there she
Is
is.
she here?
Yeah. Yeah, she's there. She's hiding.
Okay, Christina, you have anything else you'd like to say, then please.
May I just take a moment to share some of the highlights for the year? Good evening, Mayor and Council. I was going to share a few of the highlights that we've accomplished this year with the support of the council, the city leadership, and the community. Our field services team answered 1,485 calls for service and 110 reports that resulted in investigations. We cared for 1,284 animals, and we were able to reunite 197 animals with their families that love them. We had adoptions for 706 animals. This included 206 dogs, 456 cats, and 44 small animals like birds, guinea pigs, hamsters, and rabbits. Our animal services team, our animal shelter team, is very busy. They ran almost 3,000 loads of laundry, fed 29,000 meals to the animals in our care, and provided 36,000 enrichment items to the animals at the shelter. Our vet services team also was able to sterilize our adoption animals for 488 sterilizations so that they could go home prepared for a new family. Our volunteer and outreach team has been very busy. We launched a foster program this year so that people could take small animals like kittens that weren't ready for adoption, puppies, or animals that needed extra care in an out-of-shelter environment. And so we fostered 105 animals since the program started this summer for a total of 1,500 hours of care for animals out of the shelter. And then we also have an in-shelter volunteer program that has relaunched. We have 36 active volunteers currently getting hours, but we also have more volunteers in training for a total of almost 3,000 hours. Our outreach events included things like vaccine and microchip events, helping over 600 pets in the community receive vital services like core vaccines, microchips, so that they stay healthy and can get back to their owners if they happen to get lost. We also started a pet food pantry program so that animals who might otherwise have to be surrendered because food couldn't be afforded at the time or supplies would be able to stay with the people who love them. We distributed 2,900 pounds of food for dogs and cats, 1,200 pounds of cat litter, as well as various supplies like bedding and toys that kept those animals at home instead of having to come into the shelter. We also started a partnership with our local veterinary clinics so that our adoption animals not only get good care at the shelter from the shelter veterinarian, but also once they get adopted, they have a free exam at one of our 6 local partnering vets so they can establish a relationship with our local vets and carry them into the rest of their lives with their adopter. So I'm very proud of our team. I have some of our field services team and our volunteer outreach coordinator, as well as our admin assistant who keeps everything running. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who supports us and lets us continue to provide these things that the animals and our community is needing and wanting from your animal services.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Next, we have a proclamation with the National Native American Heritage Month.
Mayor, she'd like to take a picture with you.
You want to stand here to take a picture in front of
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they'd like to take a picture. Come on up. Come on up.
Hey, Christine,
Come on right up behind him.
come up behind
You
me.
want to come up behind him?
behind him, yeah. I'll move out of the way.
Christina, do you have a phone?
Rebecca.
She Graves, yes.
Yeah, Rebecca's got it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. You bet.
Thanks, guys.
Good job. history and the culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by American Indians and indigenous people. The contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, the prosperity, and the greatness of America today. Their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as a part of the rich legacy throughout the United States. There are 574 federally recognized Indian nations, plus other tribes located throughout the United States. Native American Awareness Week began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August of 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. So as your mayor is proud to declare the month of November National American Heritage Month, and Grapevine urge all of us citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. And here to accept the proclamation is members of the chapter of the Regent Georgiana Braden. All right. You're welcome to respond.
Mayor Tate, thank you so much. Dr. Braden was unable to make it tonight, so I'm accepting in her place as I'm chairperson of the American Indian Committee for the chapter. And we want to thank you and the council members for always helping us with Constitution Week and this recognition for Native Americans. Native Americans of one tribe or another have served in every conflict the United States has had since the American Revolution. So it's very fitting that we recognize them for this. And we would also like a picture, if you don't mind.
Come on up.
Hey,
Come on up.
And we want Sharon and Duff in our picture also because they're members.
Let Duff get my seat. Duff, you have my seat.
All righty.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. Let the drum speak. Next, we have a presentation from the CVB.
See you tomorrow night, right?
Status of agreements with the sister cities of Paris, Mexico, Krems, Austria, West Lothian, Scotland, and an update of the first official mission to Barossa, South Australia. Paul and Naomi from the staff.
We're not doing a piece.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, colleagues, citizens. It has been some years now for several of our sister cities that we had to pause the program in 2020, and with all of our sister cities. And of course, since that time, we had resumed with Pares de la Fuente and initiated recently with the Barossa, but that we really had not had any real activity other than a little updating between various committees with West Lothian, Scotland, and with Krems, Austria. So I had an opportunity earlier this year. I better start driving now. There we go. As part of a Travel Texas mission into the UK to have an opportunity to go visit West Lothian, Scotland. Long-time Provost Tom Kerr retired earlier this year as the new election cycle came around, and Kathy Muldoon was elected provost for West Lothian, and so we wanted to have an opportunity to meet with her along with some of the council members and such that had been duly elected but did not really have any relationship to the program. While we were there, we also took the opportunity to meet with people who had been previously in the program, and those were some very successful opportunities that we had. And so one of the first meetings we had was with Elaine Cook, who is head of education, and in meeting with her, we had an opportunity to talk about what had happened in the previous years in Grapevine and what had been taking place in West Lothian. They had two schools under construction, one that had just recently opened and one that would open shortly. We visited those campuses, and they had brought a lot of best practices, frankly, from internationally. And we thought that there would be some real future opportunity there for GCISD administrators to go see what they have how they've utilized buildings now to really enhance education. So that was a great experience. We then from there went on to meet with the folks at West Lothian College, where we've had some really successful culinary internships. They have a new president there, Jackie Galbraith, and one of our former interns is now actually on staff at West Lothian College. And they again too wanted to see an opportunity for these culinary student exchanges to take place. So that was extremely positive. And from there, we went on to meet with Stuart Callan at Bathgate. He had been involved with the Gallagher Cup from the very beginning, and he had been anxious to see some opportunity to renew that. And so from a really positive meeting, and this was just back in June, and so from June till now, we were able to bring the Gallagher Cup back. That's taken place, and in the next portion of the presentations, you'll have an opportunity to learn a lot more about the success of that. But that really shows you how enthusiastic that West Lothian is again to renew this exchange of teachers, administrators, students, and so on. While we were there, we also, a young man by the name of Brett Welch had reached out, and who had been following the Main Street Fest and the fact of the craft brew experience. And he owns Stranger's Brewery. So he asked us to come out and visit his brewery, which was in the Scottish countryside, and that was certainly a most pleasant experience. But he shared with us that it was his goal to be at Main Street Fest in 2025, and that he wanted to present some of his craft brews there. So upon my return, I met with John Powell at Hop and Sting, and I shared this with him. Now, I had already told Mr. Welch, I said, you know, there's an immense amount of, licensing and all sorts of things in the terms of exporting and being able to participate in the festival. And I visited with John at Hop and Sting, and he said, oh no, we can sort of shorten all of that. Said he just provide us his recipes, and we'll set everything up. He can come over in advance of the festival. He can make his beer at our facility. We'll make it on our license. He can present it at Main Street Fest. So that was kind of a fairly exciting thing to see, that a little small brewery from the Scottish countryside who stepped forward boldly, who actually will have an opportunity to be here in 2025. So that was another really interesting piece of that. You'll see there the Mayor and Council wine box was presented to Provost Kathy Muldoon, and she was very excited about that. You know, that's something that's been going on for, 20 plus years or more. and she was really thrilled to receive that from the mayor and council. And she looks forward to visiting here in 2026. So, and in particular in May of 2026, when of course we will salute the mayor for 50 years of service as mayor. And Provost Muldoon would like very much to be here, and that would be the year of rotation for them to come. And they normally come in September, but thought that it would be a great thing to come in May. She also shared that her big interests were education, the environment, and what environmental initiatives that cities take, in particular that Grapevine would take, and also economic development. She had a lot of engagement with economic development. So I think there's some real opportunity for best practices that when they come to meet with some of our people and see if there's not some opportunity both in terms of economic development and best practices in the environment. So it was a very whirlwind couple of days. All of that happened in about 48 hours. But one thing was for sure, that they planned on having bagpipes and a band and everything here in May of 2026. So just saying. So we left there, jumped on a plane, and went to Krems, because we had very little contact with those folks, where also they had a new Burgermeister. And Burgermeister Resk, who is a good friend of ours for many years, due to health reasons, he stepped down, and that triggered another election. And Peter Molnar, that you can see in the picture there, if you look at the left bottom corner, Burgermeister Molnar, he received his presentation box from the mayor and council, and which he was so thrilled about. Now, this is really interesting and then he started telling everybody, we need to do something like this. And so we said, oh yes, that would be great. You've got that now and you can do that. I didn't have the heart to tell him that 30 years ago that he, three Burgermeisters back, had in fact presented something very similar to us there, and we developed it a bit further into that presentation box, but the idea came from them. But he just felt very happy that he had taken a new idea from Grapevine. And so that's kind of how things go around when you put a lot of years in between time. We did get to meet many of the new people they had there now, and they had a new council liaison member, Burgermeister Molnar. He himself very interested in education, both at your secondary school level, but also at the university level. We went over to IMC and visited with Dr. Heinz Boyer, and I know some of you here have met him before, and he's been here. They have built that now into an absolute first-class university. It's still, it's only about 35 years old, but it's a massive campus with incredible investment they're able to get from the state and also from the country. And they have 2 additional universities that have grown in the last decade. And so Krems has added to their winery and hospitality. Now they are an educational center, higher educational center, with about 15,000 students there, about 8 months of the year. Also, just point out, we have there a couple of our early interns because the relationship with Krems now is almost 30 years old. And so one of the young men there, who was the first intern we had here, he now is the head of public relations for all of Lower Austria in art and culture. And so he came to greet us there. It was great to see him. We went and visited the Music Schule, who has sent many bands here, and they had a little quartet playing for us as we walked up the stairs. That was great. And then I just point out one other thing here, that if you look in the center, that the beautiful churches in that wonderful new roof, that roof was put on several years ago, and it was had just ran its useful life. It had been in place for 700 years. And so if you look to the photograph to the right, there are two tiles that are in this glass enclosure, which of course now is in our Friendship Hall over there on Church Street, so the Sister City Friendship Hall. And again, some of you might recall that Burgermeister Resch, he had to get a release of antiquities, and those two tile came off of the roof of those churches where they replaced the 700-year roof. And those are two 700-year tiles that now are sitting in the Sister City Friendship Hall. And it's one of our treasures over there. He is the Burgermeister, he's very young, robust, and he is also lining up to bring a band and a group of folks here in May of 2026. So we can kind of see a pattern with our sister cities of that we're going to have a pretty exciting time in May of 26. So Krems has certainly reaffirmed that they are really excited about their relationship. They're great, very willing now to begin to plan for future exchanges with students, teachers, and particularly in the cultural and fine arts area as well. So on a little bit later this year, we had the opportunity, there was a Texas Travel USA event taking place in Australia. So we participated with Qantas and with Kanakawi, and that gave me an opportunity then to go visit with the folks in South Australia, since our first official mission will take place in 2025, and the dates that works for them is April the 23rd through the 30th. So that means that our welcome will be on the 23rd. We would depart on the 30th. I do, though, want to let you know that in order to get there on the 23rd, you have to leave on the 21st. So it takes a couple of days to get to the Barossa. Just as you look at this, something to point out is, we signed that sister city relationship with them in September last year. And if you look at the top right-hand photograph on your screen there, that is the front wall, or the wall as you look behind us into the council chambers. So behind myself and Mayor Bim there, that are the doors, pair of the doors, be those doors entering into the chambers. So in the most prestigious place in their city hall, they have placed the gifts and such that were presented to them at the signing of their sister city relationship, and it occupies so there you've got the City of Grapevine, Texas Sister City Partnership. They were gifted the Night Watchman, that's the centerpiece. There's a Grapevine wine to the left. To the right is the document that of the group that was led by Mayor Pro Tem, where we did the initial signing earlier that year in Barossa, so it's there. And the three photographs above are of the official signing here. So everyone that comes into City Hall, gets to kind of see that, and they certainly treat that with a great deal of respect and enthusiasm, and they really look forward to the growth of this. And so just to do a quick run around, on the right-hand side, that is for the educational side. Those folks there represent their 3 high schools, and they are eagerly planning for a mission for Grapevine students to be there in 2025. It will be our summer, their winter. And so those to the far right is Janine Haley, and she she heads up that program. The others are members. They're part of the school administration and teachers. And if we come down to just below that, to the right, where you recognize again Mayor Bim in there, that is their official sister city committee that represents all of the businesses and such in the Barossa. It's a very well-balanced committee. They work very hard. To the right of that is those are representatives of the Barossa Rotary. They insisted that I have some time to meet with them because they are very eager to connect with the Rotary here and just the entire program. We go to the left side in the lower panel there. That's the Barossa Brass Band, and that is about a 140-year-old band. They're practicing in their own building. We just happened to stop by there for 5 minutes. I grabbed a picture of that. They have won awards all over the world, and they too heard about May of 26, and they too are planning to bring the Barossa Brass Band to Grapevine in 26, and so that's huge. And then on the left there is probably the largest, both economic development, but also for branding for Barossa. They have taken the old Tanunda Oval and are creating Barossa Park, where they're actually building a football field that the Australian Football League, so the equivalent of the NFL, will be able to hold some national games there that will bring Australia-wide attention to the Barossa. Mayor Bim led that. It's both state, federal government, and the municipality of the Barossa. So it is a massive program, and it's set to open when our delegation will be there in April of 25. It's just an unbelievable amount of money to come into a rural area like that. But it's a stroke of genius for them to do that. So again, I just want to bring to everyone's attention that if you would be thinking about whether or not you would want to, lead and be a part of that official mission in 2025, so April 23 through 30. Now, obviously, it's a long way to go, so people may want to go earlier or stay later, and that would be anybody's choice to do that. But to sign up for the mission, you would commit to those dates, though, so our hosts know, exactly what we're there for and what we can hope to experience. We have the students, and I mentioned this earlier, but I want to just state it again. Due to the rules and such that take place in GCISD, it's not possible for them to be able to join us in April. And so the Barossa is looking forward to planning a June type of exchange and activities for them in 2025. So that's, and we will continue to work with the school district on that. And, but we will have, or we're hopeful to, we've got a somewhat of a commitment from representative of the administration that in April we will have a GCISD representative there. So before I turn it over to Naomi, I just wanted, if there were any questions that I could answer now relative to that mission.
Questions?
How large a delegation are you thinking of taking to the Barasa?
I think it'll be somewhere 15, 18 people at the most.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, then, again, I thank you all. The news is really good news, so I really am delighted to be able to share with you that fact that all 4 sisters are reactivated and involved again. So we're very excited with that. And now my pleasure to turn it over to Ms. Symes.
Thank you, PW. Buenas noches, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to be here this evening. And like PW said, our missions were quite successful, and I will be sharing some information about our mission to Parras, Coahuila, Mexico. First of all, we were received by the council there, very enthusiastic council. Several of our members attended, our CVB liaison, Leon Leal, and Councilwoman Duff Odell and Councilwoman Sharon Rogers joined us on this mission. And it's so exciting to go to Parras and see how, after I've been there I've been here doing this 17 years, and our sister city relationship is about 30 years. And just to see the city grow and following Grapevine's blueprint for tourism and how to increase their economy is just amazing. And you can see one of the pictures up there, that's one of the newer hotels. When I started the program, they had about 7 hostels and hotels. Now they have about 50. And they are just really working hard to improve their community and bring visitors to spend their money in their community and enjoy the beautiful city that it is. It's a magical city. It has that designation by the country, and it's just a beautiful city to visit. We did go during the 77th annual festival, and they have traditions. We have traditions here, but they definitely have traditions that are several hundred years old. One of the other things that we do when we go to Parras, we go and visit the girls' orphanage. And this past year, Councilwoman Odell and one of our volunteers that went, Janice Lours, they went into the girls' home and saw that the bedspreads that were in the girls' home were bedspreads that one of our very strong volunteers, Kathy Livinggood, had donated through the women's division of the chamber. And Duff and Jan came back and talked to the ladies there at the chamber. And in September, they presented the Rotary, the ladies from the Rotary, wives of the Rotary members, some funds that they'd collected, and they bought all of those bedspreads for the home. And it's just seeing it come full circle. Duff, thank you very much, and thank you to the ladies that helped do that. It's just a beautiful, lots of beautiful pictures, and you can see the girls there, how excited they are. There's some that were just dancing, and it was so beautiful to see that. And our volunteers there in the center, you can't see it from here, but very far back, there's the playground equipment that was donated by the city of Grapevine, gently used equipment that no longer meets safety requirements here. And that's just a great place to see and know how much the Grapevine giving spirit is showcased all over this place. So much generosity going from our community. And at the top right, you see the fire department. They have a volunteer fire department, maybe 19 guys, and maybe 3 of them are on the payroll. But I really get excited when I talk about Parras, and I just see all the great things that happen. And Chief Brown has always been instrumental in remembering Parras when their equipment is out of commission. It's gently used, but it no longer meets the Texas standards, and they're not in compliance. The equipment is. So you can see these guys modeling some bunker gear And you can see some of our council members there as well. And we just appreciate all the fire department does for Parras. And their fire department is also very appreciative of all the equipment that they donate. So in September, we hosted their delegation here at Great Fest. And as you can see up there, some of the people you recognize. The alcalde met with Mayor Tate, and also he met Dr. Schnauz, got a tour of the stadium, and they just had a wonderful time here. And I'll just pause here to say, why so much enthusiasm in Parras, and why so much going on there? Parras loves the Sister City program. From the very first year and the very first signing of the Accords back in 1996, the alcalde's father was one of the signers of the Accords. And just saying that has been a seed that has been planted for the last 30 years. And this alcalde, now that he's mayor, of course, he is so enthusiastic about the program. He embraces it. He wants to he just really, that's one of his favorite projects is the Sister City program. And this was his first visit here. He has a live feed on Facebook, and he did that live feed from the Sister City Friendship Hall. And you can see our Mayor Pro Tem there, and also the CVB director from Parras is there, and our councilman Leon Leal and his lovely wife Tracy. And of course, you see some of the other things that happened during Great Fest. Lots of participation, and several of our city departments helped us host all these delegates, and we really appreciate them doing that. And on the far right, it was a joy to see the look on Mayor's and Paloma's face when they saw the Matachin costume, because they know how long and how much it takes to make that costume. It's handmade, and that costumes like that are used when they have their traditional dances, very old traditions of the Matachinas dancing during their festivals, as some of you have experienced. And during Great Fest also, we see Cynthia Blankenship. She is the presenting sponsor. Bank of the West is the presenting sponsor at Great Fest, as you know, and she was so eager to meet the alcalde, and they got to meet during Great Fest. And then this center, the two center pictures are fundraising activities. The Parras people actually go and help during Great Fest, and they help they help us also. We raise funds for scholarships for students that go to our sister cities, and that's one of a couple of fundraisers that we have. And on the far right, we have Valeria Morales. Some of y'all met her. Valeria did a staff exchange here in Grapevine, and she did a 7-week exchange with the festivals team at the CVB. Amazing young lady, but that's just an example of some of the things that we do with the Sister City program. And she's actually in Tokyo right now, continuing her learning of international tourism, because that's her major. Some volunteer efforts. The Sister City couldn't do it without our volunteers, obviously. Another fundraiser is at Butterfly Flutterby. And we also like to keep Grapevine beautiful, and come rain or shine, we have lots of we have up to 8 to 13 people show up every single time to help us beautify part of Northwest Highway. And on the far right, you see a group of volunteers that attended our annual meeting. And our current co-chairs and chairs of the Sister City committees are Don Justice. He is the chair for CREMS. Brad and Christine Sledge are co-chairs of Parras. Renee and Bruce Herndon, they are the co-chairs of the Australia Committee. And Richard Jurgen is the chairman of the West Lothian Committee. And I couldn't tell you enough about these folks. All of them, all our volunteers are just amazing, because everything is so different. And in some cases, as you've heard Mr. McCallum, and of course, having a sister city in Mexico, there is a language barrier at times, and we just totally depend on our volunteers to help everything that we have become a success in all we do after 30 years. And now, Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to introduce the last presentation that we have, and that is of the Gallagher Cup. Okay, can we hear a cheer? So last month, we had a group of students from West Lothian, Scotland, that participated in the Gallagher Cup with some students from GCISD. The golf teams arrived in Grapevine, as you can see. They're at the Sister City Friendship Hall, and our host families, we had host families that hosted the children or the students in their home. And I'd like to mention the host families, John and Patty Seeker, they're here tonight, Petey and Julie Voss, and I don't think I'm gonna say this right, but Ging and Rachel Chow, and also Chad and Amy Campbell. Our host families are amazing, and we want to just thank them for everything that they did when the students were here. So while they were here, they had the privilege of meeting Bryson DeChambeau, and he not only came and gave them tips, but he also gave them some hats and some PGA amenities, and they were quite excited about that. As everyone knows, that those of you that follow golf, he was the 2024 U.S. Open winner. And the students, I'm not going to ask them to come up right now, but the students from West Lothian that came, the golfers, was Hayden Fowler, Noah McPhillips, Roar Stein, Lewis Bach, Oliver Henderson, and Corin Frazier. And our great team that you're going to get to see here in just a few minutes are Wiley Waldrop, Michael Chow, Jumi Lee, Merrick Oley, Audrey McCallum, Madison Martin, Ethan Goodyan. And those are the students that participated in the Gallagher Cup. On the right side, as you obviously know, the students won the Gallagher Cup. And on the last night, the farewell dinner, Mayor came out and congratulated the coaches and the students. And Tracy Leal was there representing Leon Leal. He was out of town. And our councilwoman, Sharon Rogers. And we've got the coaches, Ross Callan and Coach Ryan Parker. And of course, Mayor doing the honors of presenting the trophy. And before, Mayor, if you want to make your way up here and before we present the Gallagher Cup, I would like to show a clip of a news story that was about the student exchange that was featured on NBC5.
Well, the game of golf is bringing students from 2 countries together for competition and cultural exchange.
Students from Grapevine and its sister city of West Lothian, Scotland, alternate years they travel across the pond. This year, North Texas is the host. Noah Walker has the story.
Enjoy it. It's something like you've never seen, so have fun.
Thank you. It's a school day, and these students are on a field trip of sorts, taking in the spectacle that is Meow Wolf in Grapevine. While not a classroom, the experience is part of a cultural education exchange. The students are part of the West Lothian Scotland golf team. Every year they compete in the Gallagher Cup tournament with local high school students and experience the host city, which alternates years. This year, it's Grapevine.
Getting to come over here and see a different part of the world and experience a different culture has been really interesting for us.
How they greeted us was very welcoming and very heartwarming.
The wonderful thing that happens when our exchanges happen at any age is that we realize that we're really not different. No matter what part of the world you live in, we have such wonderful students that are interested in learning, and the relationships that have been formed throughout the years is amazing.
One of the highlights so far, they got to meet Grapevine's own Bryson DeChambeau, who won the U.S. Open this year. If they can find their way out of the Meow Wolf maze, they'll play their annual golf match against Grapevine this week. In Grapevine, Noelle Walker, NBC.
How exciting.
Very,
So I will ask the golfers to please come up. Wiley Waldrop, Michael Chow, Jumi Lee, Merrick Oley, Audrey McCallum, Madison Martin, and Ethan Goodyan. If you would please come up, we will. And Coach Ryan and Mr. John Seeker, President of the Booster Club.
They're going to have to get closer together.
All right, well, it's my honor to present the delegate truck to the captain of the Colleyville Heritage Golf Team and Coach Ray Parker. We won 4 times now. Our local team has won 4 out of the 13. We find it a little tougher when we go to Scotland on those courses. Our pro golfers have the same problem. So anyway, this year though was very special, and we hope to even the score over the next few years. Thank you for your great play and your ambassadorship to our community. Thank you very much. Y'all are welcome. Say anything? You want to say something, Captain, or Coach? Sure.
I'm just really proud of what we did. And I think that through the first 2 days, obviously, we only had 2 victories out of 6, and we were definitely behind. But I think our rally at the last day kind of shows our perseverance. And I think that's what brought us together. And just great job overall.
Before you speak, I just want to say that as from the Booster Club standpoint, that it's more than a golf tournament. This sister city program is a cultural event. And we welcomed 2 of the golfers into our home. And it was a fantastic experience from both sides. Great young men. All of our golfers had a chance to interact with these kids. In fact, it was a tremendous opportunity for our little team and for the boys from across the pond. So thank you, Grapevine, for the opportunity that you've given us.
Council members, Mayor Tate, Sister Cities program, it's an honor. It was a pleasure to be able to do this, to reestablish our friendship that has happened with them since 2020, being the last, right before COVID was when the last time this excursion happened. When I came here and I was presented the idea to reignite it, I didn't bat an eye at it because this is way more than the game of golf. It's about relationships, being bonds that are being forged. Their coach, Ross Callan, is the son of Stuart Callan that actually came on this excursion from West Lothian to here in 2016. So it was really an amazing experience to learn from him about seeing it come full circle, because the things that we learned from those 6 individuals you saw on that news clip was something that was simply amazing. When they share with us, we could share with them, and to let them experience our great 2 cities that make up this, our school system. And we are looking forward to going over there. We've started the talks to when we travel over to get that going that way. But I do want to say thank you to the council, Mayor Tate, Naomi, PW for letting us have this opportunity. It's a great pleasure of ours, and we thank y'all for that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council. Appreciate it.
Very nice. The next item is consider ordinance 2024-098, amending the Grapevine Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Health and Sanitation, relative to mobile food units. Erica Moronic.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, we brought forward for your consideration a mobile food unit ordinance. On July 2nd of this year, a presentation was made to the City Council seeking feedback to address 3 key issues regarding mobile food units in Grapevine. We've listened to your concerns and feedback, and we've met internally and coordinated with several departments to present our path forward for identified issues. What does this amendment do? Well, it addresses 2 of the 3 issues that had been identified in that July 2nd presentation. It creates a path forward to set up mobile food trucks intermittently on private property through a permitting process, and it allows brick and mortar restaurants that have a mobile food unit to store it on site when not in use under certain limitations. However, it does not create a mechanism for the permanent installation of a mobile food unit on private property at this time. This will need to be addressed in the future through an amendment to the zoning ordinance. The amendments to Chapter 12, Health and Sanitation of the Code of Ordinances are organized into 4 categories, which includes definitions, permit and inspection process, locational requirements, and prohibitions. We are proposing to amend a definition for mobile food establishment that more fully describes the activities that might take place within a mobile food unit, which could be a truck or trailer, and it also excludes a food stand or booth. We are also proposing a new definition for food supply center. This is where a mobile food unit would both store its supplies and its food and cannot be located in a residential kitchen. The ordinance proposes a permit that requires both a health permit first be obtained from the Tarrant County Public Health, and this would be submitted to the city with other application materials. The mobile food unit operator would have the option for submitting for a temporary, seasonal, or annual permit. The permit from the city through Planning Services, the department which I head, would include coordination with our fire prevention division of the fire department for inspections to ensure that the unit is equipped with the necessary fire prevention equipment and that it meets safety regulations. Permit requirements will include detailed routes, dates, and timeframes for service on private property, property owner permission. For each property, there will be a separate layout showing compliance with locational requirements. The mobile food unit owner operator will also need to provide valid state vehicle registration, insurance, and proof of sales tax and use permits. And they will also need to state that they will be remitting sales tax to the city of Grapevine when they are within the city limits and operating. And of course, there will also be a fee. Some of the locational requirements and limitations will include that they will only be permitted to operate in 9 non-residential districts or zoning districts. The lot must be platted and have an existing primary use, so a building or a land use associated with it. The number of total mobile food units at one time will be limited to no more than 3. They must be located within a certain distance of the primary building's entrance. They must be situated so that they do not obstruct any visibility coming into or out of a site in the general circulation of the lot. They also cannot be parked within the public rights-of-way, driveways, striped fire lanes, and other required parking spaces. They will be limited to 4 events per year, with each event not exceeding 2 days, so for a total of 8 days per year on one property. Seating can be provided outside the mobile food unit, but cannot take up more than 4 parking spaces. Again, that has to be outside of required parking. The unit must provide its own trash receptacle, and it cannot remain on the property overnight. It must be removed daily. And all utilities serving the unit must be self-contained to the unit itself. Within the proposed unit, we've also built in some prohibitions, which includes no unit shall have a drive-through or temporary connections to city services such as potable water, sanitary sewer, or electricity. Absolutely no outdoor speakers can be in use. Additionally, it cannot be stored overnight as previously mentioned, and there's a prohibition that it cannot be located along Main Street, South Main Street, between Northwest Highway and Dallas Road, and then also within 250 feet of South Main Street, except when approved through a city-sponsored special event or festival. So something such as Main Street Fest or Grape Fest. This concludes my presentation on the draft ordinance. I'm available for any questions that the council may have at this time.
I have one question.
Yes,
I really
ma'am.
like the way you presented it because the ordinance is long and this really makes it simpler. My question is on the local requirements on number 2, and I didn't think about this question until just now, where it says must be on a platted lot with a building with a certificate of occupancy. Should it also say and be occupied? Because sometimes they vacate, but it still has a CO, and we don't want them to go on a vacant, where they're not ancillary to the primary business. So if you would just think about that, whether we could, what do you think about that?
We could definitely add that. That was the intent. But
Okay, I
that
think
makes it
we
very
should, because
clear.
we do have businesses that have closed or still on an active CO. Okay, thank you. Good catch.
Prohibition number 5, the 250 feet of Main Street. How do we accept out our festival vehicles?
Mr. Mayor, there's an explicit exception in the ordinance for the festivals.
Okay, very good.
I think
All
you-
right, any other questions?
No, I think she's done a good job.
I have some suggestions, if I may, please. You all have done a tremendous amount of work, and I think you've done a wonderful job. I'm curious to know why this is in health and sanitation instead of the zoning ordinance. I know there's a reason, I just don't know don't have a problem with it, I'm just curious.
We already have language, a definition which we're amending, and then requirements within health and sanitation as it pertained to mobile food units, and I believe that first came about in 2002. There just was never a process associated with permitting them outside of temporary use permits, which is in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, all right. I've noticed several things in here that perhaps we might want to look at. The first relates to food handlers' cards. They have 30 days to obtain a food handler's card from the time they gain employment, and it seems to me that we would want them to have that food handler's card when they go to work in one of these units here in our city. So if we could look at that and perhaps tweak that, I think that might be something to consider. There's language in here that they cannot operate within 1 block of a school. Blocks are not all created equal, so perhaps we might consider placing, instead of saying 1 block, a distance. Maybe it's 500 feet, maybe it's 1,000 feet, 200. I don't know what the number is, but I think that way it would be more easily quantified in people's minds. The 3 types of certificates of operation, annual, temporary, and seasonal. Annual makes sense, but perhaps we might need to add a definition for temporary and seasonal. Electricity for each unit has to be supplied by a generator. I think it would be good to set a distance from residential developments because of the noise. Generators don't all generate the same decibel level. And so depending on what the decibel level is, it could be really intrusive. And if we're allowing these on neighborhood commercial or limited business, especially neighborhood commercial, some of those I think are right adjacent and perhaps across the fence from residents. So if we could look at that and try to maybe revise that a little bit. Right now, I think it's 100 feet. I'm not sure that that's far enough. I think it probably needs to be further. And finally, there's language in here that allows these to be at private events like weddings or graduations. I think it would be good to set some hours, some limitations, so that they don't go on until 1 or 2 in the morning or something like that. And I don't know what you might suggest, but I think right now it's not defined at all. And if we could add that to some hours, I think that would be good. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions involving the schools, not being close to the schools. I volunteered a number of school events where we have food trucks and ice cream trucks, all kinds of food type trucks. So is that going to stop now? We not be able to do that anymore?
They are always able to do that through a temporary use permit, up to 4 per year, 1 per quarter.
Okay. And the 4 two-day events per year, that's per location. So if
Yes,
there's a
ma'am.
business that wants to do it in one location 2 times, and then, so they could do that, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, and we shouldn't bring out individual places, but you're talking about can't be in residential areas. What about the food truck that's been at Hop and Sting for such a long time? That's in a residential area.
Yes, ma'am. We would need to address that through the zoning ordinance due to its semi-permanent to permanent nature.
Okay.
I
So would
believe that
be-
property is actually zoned light industrial LI, but it is immediately adjacent to some multifamily and to some single-family rental homes. However, those are also zoned, well, they were zoned LI, they're now transit district overlay.
Okay. So if they wanted to continue that, they'd have to come get an exception, file for an exception? Is that what you're saying?
We're going to have to bring forward some proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance after further study at a later date in order to accommodate the type of business that they've been running.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple of quick questions. One, how is alcohol sales affected, or can that be done, or?
It's prohibited.
It's
It's one of the
prohibited.
prohibitions, yes, sir.
Okay. I think you said that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up with an election that's going on and everything else. So the other question I had, so I know they have to have their own trash receptacle, but is there an ordinance saying they have to clean up their space, making sure there's not oil droppings or things that might leak out of the units themselves?
We can add some language that makes it very clear that they need to clean up their space when they leave every evening, but if you're referring to any type of waste like grease or something like that, they would need to dispose of that at a location that has a grease trap and not into any
Yeah, I
type of
just
city
know,
facility.
I've seen food truck places and there's people make a lot of mess around the truck, and so just to make sure that's cleaned up as opposed to just picking up trash and driving off and leaving, food itself on the ground, or like I said, if the vehicle itself is dropping oil or grease or whatever, to make sure that's picked up. The other question I had is, so is there some way to determine like how, I'm not sure how to say it, but just nice the trucks look, to make sure there's nothing on the truck that's probably not, because I've seen some in Dallas that are not something I would want in our community just because maybe what it's called or the way it looks or the way they have it painted, and then also too, if it's old and run down, those types of things?
Our ability to regulate it would be limited to the safety of the vehicle itself and the equipment and what they're offering to the public. As far as messaging or free speech, I don't believe that we would be able to regulate that.
Okay.
And one final question. If you're using your food truck on private property and on a business property, and you may have a violation, who is held accountable? The business owner, the food truck person, both? That's a good question. How are you going to try to regulate that?
That is something that through the creation of the permit, we will need to flesh out, but at this time, it will be the owner-operator.
Okay.
However, the private property owner who's giving permission for them to be there has a vested interest in them.
Exactly.
Not being in violation of the proposed future ordinance. So I believe it would be the owner-operator at this time. However, there may be instances where both of them are cited for being in noncompliance.
Okay.
Talking about the owner-operator being basically the permit holder, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Boyle, since the food truck owner-operator will be applying for a permit from the city, could we require that they provide us with a photograph, a four-sided photograph of the truck? And could we include some language in there that would address anything that, I understand we have free speech, but we're also giving a permit to someone to bring a vehicle into our city. Is there anything at all that we can do?
You could provide a limitation against patently offensive language and material.
And we could put that in the ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Erica, one more question on the alcohol. I know that it's
we're prohibiting the sale of alcohol, but can we prohibit the giving away of alcohol? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? If you buy a hamburger, you get a free beer. You buy a taco, you get a free margarita.
I'll defer to Mr. Boyle.
That's a good question.
You cannot condition
I
the
didn't think so.
gifting of alcohol on the purchase of anything else because doing so is a violation of the TABC's regulations. That notwithstanding, you can give away alcohol, but it cannot be conditioned on any purchase.
Okay.
I'd like to find who's going to give away a free margarita with a taco.
Well,
That sounds like a good deal to me.
The Los Amigos.
Yeah, it's not
Before he got his
uncommon,
alcohol
yeah.
license, he said
Yeah.
he gave away a free margarita. I was just asking the question.
Yeah.
My only other question is, should we table this and have Erica make these changes and come back? Or I don't know that, or do we approve it? I don't think can we approve it with making these changes without having them in writing for us yet?
We've got several changes we
Yeah,
probably
I
ought to
think we
review.
ought to probably table it, if that's okay, and then Erica can make those changes and we can review it, and hopefully it'll be quick. Is that okay with you, Mayor? I'm going to move to table, and she'll bring it back.
One more question, Mr. Boyle. No, that's okay. In the permitting process, can we address the giving away of alcohol in that?
The city is preempted from regulating the sale of alcoholic beverages.
The giving the way I'm talking about.
And similarly.
That's the same thing? Okay, thank you. Just trying.
Do we have
Move
any
to
more
table
questions?
to
Second.
the next meeting unless there's more questions.
Any more questions at this time?
Does that give you enough time, or would you rather wait till the 1st of December?
No, that gives us plenty of time.
Okay, let's do that then.
Do we have a motion to table? Do we have a second?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Items tabled. This brings us to the consent agenda. Item 10 through 39 are not scheduled for any council discussion. Any guest present can request any item be removed for further debate at this time. Do we have any requests? I hear none. Any from the council or the staff? Then item 10 through 39 is the consent. The motion is in order.
I move for the approval of consent agenda items 10 through 39.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Consent's approved. That completes our agenda. Thank you for being with us. Motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Council stands adjourned.